resistance movement Hamas is currently in talks with leaders of the Palestinian groups to discuss a new ceasefire proposal received from mediators. In Mexico, social and human rights organizations will rally against the anti-migration policies of the Trump administration to support their nationals. The Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro only condemned the supremacism maintained by the US and Europe, ensuring that such ideology has no room in the 21st century. Hello, welcome from the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. Stay with us. The resistance movement Hamas is currently in talks with leaders of the Palestinian groups to discuss a new ceasefire proposal received from mediators. Hamas declared that it will present its final decision to mediators, including in the agreement a gradual exchange of 10 living and 18 dead hostages for hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. The proposal follows reports of an alleged agreement by Israel to carry out a near-complete withdrawal of its military troops from Gaza under a possible 60-day ceasefire. Meanwhile, Israeli occupation forces continued their aggression in the Palestinian territory, killing 16 people and wounding dozens more in an attack on people waiting for aid trucks east of Khan Yunis. And at least 20 people were killed and several more were wounded when Israeli forces shelled and opened fire on displaced people's tents in Khan Yunis in the southern part of the Gaza Strip on Friday morning. According to local media reports, 15 people were killed in a bombardment near the Taiba Towers, 3 in the Al-Sabra neighborhood, and 2 at a humanitarian aid center north of Rafah. These deaths are in addition to the more than 100 people killed by the Israeli army in various areas of the Gaza Strip on Thursday. It is believed that Palestinian armed factions ambushed an Israeli maneuver force operating in the region, prompting the army to intensify its operations early Friday morning. And the United Nations Human Rights Office recorded at least 613 killings at 8 points run by the Israeli and US-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation and near humanitarian convoys. Spokesperson for the UN office, Ravina Shamdasani, said the figure is as of June 27th, adding that since then there have been further incidents. Shamdasani urged for access to carry out investigations and determine responsibilities, saying that it is clear that the Israeli military shelled and shot at Palestinians trying to reach the distribution points. Earlier this month, UNRWA Commissioner General Philip Lazzarini said over 130 non-governmental organizations signed a joint call demanding the restoration of a unified UN-led humanitarian response in Gaza for aid coordination and delivery to be returned to international humanitarian law standards.
The latest figures that we have recorded 613 killings, both at GHF points and near humanitarian convoys. Now, this is a figure as of the 27th of June. Since then, I was reading our latest sitrep. There have been further incidents on who is responsible. It is clear that the Israeli military has shelled and shot at Palestinians trying to reach the distribution points. How many killings, who is responsible for that? We need an investigation. We need access, we need an independent inquiry, and we need accountability for these killings. So the latest figure.
I lost my brother. Oh world, I lost my brother in the US distribution center that they set up to feed people. But they are killing people, not feeding them. They are not feeding people, they are killing people. We do not want them, and we do not want the center. They should stop the center as soon as possible because every day there are 100 martyrs there. This is a failed project and we do not want it at all, and it must be closed. Either they exterminate the entire people together or stop the war. What do they want from us civilians?
The United Kingdom demonstrators gathered outside the Royal Courts of Justice on Friday to protest the government's plan to ban activist groups Palestine Action on the terrorism legislation. Protesters carried placards and chanted slogans condemning the government's repression of pro-Palestinian activism and its continued support for Israel. The mobilization occurs as a High Court hearing on the group takes place, where British organization appeals the ban, which would designate them as terrorists and criminalize both members and supporters with penalties of up to 14 years in prison. At the hearing, lawyers representing Palestine Action co-founder Huda Amori argued the decision represented an authoritarian abuse of power and should be halted. The ban, approved earlier this week by both the House of Commons and the House of Lords, is set to take effect at midnight unless blocked by the court. And after the British band Bob Dylan used the slogan against the Israeli armed forces, the Glastonbury Festival, a German concert venue, canceled their opening act performed for Gogol Bordello's European tour. The decision came after the media outrage generated by last Saturday's performance on the West Hall stage amid Israeli aggressions that has resulted in the death of more than 57,000 Palestinians. Similarly, organizers of the Radar Festival in Manchester and K-Fest in France canceled their events. Meanwhile, the U.S. Department of State revoked the band's visas, jeopardizing their planned October tour. Despite the sanctions, the band reaffirmed its position, stating silence is not an option. The Palestinian people are suffering.
Free, free. All right, but have you heard this? Death, death to the IDF. Death, death to the IDF. Death, death to the IDF. Death, death to the IDF.
In Tanzania, Prime Minister Kassim Majaliwa announced he will not seek re-election in October's parliamentary polls. Majaliwa had earlier said he would defend his seat for a fourth term, but made the surprise announcement on Wednesday. Appointed Prime Minister in 2015, Majaliwa was seen as a potential successor to the late President John Magufuli. He remained in office under President Samia Suluhu Hassan, who is seeking re-election under ruling Chama Cha Mapinduzi party. Political analysts suggest Majaliwa's departure could be part of an effort to balance regional and religious representation in government. And villagers in southern Pakistan reported that at least 7 people were killed when a residential building collapsed in Karachi, a port city. According to the authorities, preliminary report in addition to the fatalities, at least 10 people were injured and are in the hospital receiving treatment. Some are in critical condition. Rescue services were deployed to the site after the incident to search for survivors. They say there may be more people trapped under rubble. Authorities reported the building had already been marked as unsafe and announced that a high-level committee has been formed to investigate the incident. Meanwhile, in Indonesia, rescue teams continue to search for 29 people missing after a ferry bound for the island of Bali capsized, an accident that has so far left 6 people dead. Teams from the National Search and Rescue Agency are searching by land, water and air in the Bali Strait, where the boat with 53 passengers and 12 crew members sank on Wednesday night. So far, 29 people have been rescued. The search was halted on Thursday night to be resumed on Friday at 8 a.m. local time with the deployment of aircrafts. Authorities anticipate a strong tide for the day with waves of 4 meters that will make the search more difficult. Now we have our first break coming up. Remember, you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. We're going to be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. In Mexico, social and human rights organizations will rally against the anti-migration policies of the Trump administration to support their nationals. Several social movements and human rights organizations summoned for demonstrations on Friday to reject U.S. migration policies as part of an ongoing wave of protests. Some groups will picket in front of the U.S. Embassy in Mexico City as a sign of solidarity. Likewise, several events have been organized with emphasis on nonviolence and respect for the right of free speech. Overall, Mexico has expressed strong diplomatic criticism to the U.S. raids and also demand respect for due process. And on the opening of the 21st International Book Fair of Venezuela, President Nicolás Maduro not only condemned the supremacism maintained by the United States and Europe, but he also ensured that such ideology has no room in the 21st century. The head of state presided the event, which will be held until July 13th at the National Art Gallery in Caracas. In addition, the book fair counted with the attendance of the ambassador of Egypt, Karim Amin, and Venezuelan officials, intellectuals, and politicians. In this context, the president insisted that for over 600 years, the great empires have tried to make people submit to models of hegemonic domination, slavery, and exploitation. Subsequently, the leader attached importance to both questioning the official narratives and building a historical one of their own to stand critically against Eurocentric visions.
El eurocentrismo, cuando tuvo como centro, por ejemplo, a Londres.
And Eurocentrism when it had London as its axis, or when it had other centers. And today it has Washington as its epicenter. The United States tried to raise the supremacism of its race, or its model or its culture, for the rest of humanity to submit, often in the name of a religion, to models of domination, hegemony, slavery, and exploitation.
De esclavismo y de explotación.
The Venezuelan and Colombian governments reaffirmed their willingness to strengthen cooperation for their mutual benefit. Venezuelan Vice President Delcy Rodriguez held a meeting with Colombian Mine and Energy Minister Edwin Palma with the purpose of strengthening collaboration in hydrocarbons. During the meeting, Delcy Rodriguez was accompanied by Petróleos de Venezuela's President Héctor Obregón, Colombia's ambassador to Caracas, Milton Rengifo, and his Venezuelan counterpart in Bogotá, Carlos Martínez.
Y Servicios Jorge el presidente de PDVSA Héctor Obregón y el TEP Román Maniglia. Parte de la información que podemos compartir.
The president of Colombia, Gustavo Petro, denounced on Thursday the existence of new foreign criminal organizations in the country that control territories to export cocaine. The president insisted that this is a problem of national sovereignty. Likewise, the head of state said that if Colombia loses territories, it does so in the hands of Albanians, Italians, Mexicans, Paraguayans, and Colombians at the service of all of them. The president also referred to the assaulted Senator Uribe Turbay and pointed out that they only know that the perpetrators are micro-traffickers. In Brazil, Finance Minister Fernando Haddad met on Thursday with his counterparts from China and Russia to agree on the strengthening of the bilateral financial dialogue. On the eve of the BRICS leaders' meeting, Haddad received the finance ministers of China and Russia, Lan Faoan and Anton Zulanov, and they agreed to a memorandum for financial cooperation at bilateral and multilateral levels. Brazil reaffirmed its commitment to the 2025 World Climate Summit and backed the fund to conserve tropical forests. On Friday and Saturday, Rio de Janeiro will host the first meeting of the finance ministers of the BRICS and the 10th annual meeting of the Board of Governors of the New Development Bank. In this context, the Brazilian Navy announced that naval patrols and maritime control activities will be reinforced in key areas along Rio de Janeiro coast before the BRICS summit. Several military units will also be in charge of securing the access roads and the surroundings of the Museum of Modern Art and the Marina da Gloria, where the high-level meeting will take place. The BRICS summit will take place on July 6th and the 7th in Rio de Janeiro, bringing together heads of states of the 11 member countries, together with invited partners. In Greece, a large forest fire that broke out on Thursday on the outskirts of Athens has forced local authorities to order the evacuation of more than 1,200 people. Meanwhile, hundreds of firefighters are struggling to contain the flames before nightfall forces a halt to the aerial water dropping. The most worrying outbreak is one that continues to burn near the town of Spata, with a population of about 12,000, which for the moment has not been evacuated and is not directly threatened. The fire broke out Thursday near the coastal town of Rafina, located some 20 kilometers east of the Greek capital, and spread rapidly westward, fueled by strong winds.
We did everything we could. The firefighting planes and helicopters that arrived immediately did a great job. They lowered immensely the temperature and helped so much. We fought a big fight and we managed to contain the fire.
We have a second short break coming up before we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English. There you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverage, and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification button to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. A final short break, don't go away. Welcome back. In France, authorities call on airlines to cancel hundreds of flights amidst the second day of air traffic controllers' strike. Civil Aviation General Directorate asked local airlines companies to reduce by 40% their flight schedules to the country's two main airports, Charles de Gaulle and Orly in Paris. On the first day of strike, almost 1,000 routes were cancelled, so it is estimated that the number of passengers affected could be approximately 300,000. Unions demand better working conditions and increased staffing. And at least 20 people were injured in Italy when an explosion occurred at a gas station southwest of Rome. According to police sources, the initial explosion occurred around 8 a.m. local time in the Prenestino neighborhood, which is located southwest of the capital. So far, 20 people have been injured, including 9 police officers and a firefighter. Initial hypothesis suggests that firefighters were alerted by a truck that hit a gas pipe. When they arrived from the scene, a strong explosion occurred. This explosion was preceded by smaller explosions which caused a column of black smoke and a large fire that firefighters are trying to control. It is estimated that the number of injured individuals may increase. Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić urged people not to block roads in the country, namely in Belgrade city. In this regard, the leader stated that recent rallies hamper the right to free transit and disturb the daily life of ordinary citizens. Likewise, the head of state asserted that his government sought to guarantee the freedom of the population, but it would not put up with riots, which destroyed the state foundations. The president warned the efforts, say, grounded in the fact that unauthorized mobilizations by opposition sectors have continued since June 28th to demand the release of detainees, the holding of early elections, and that supporters of the Vučić administration dismantle a camp in front of parliament. And multiple power outages have hit several regions of the Czech Republic on Friday. Local outlets revealed that the power failure left dozens of people trapped in elevators. In addition, it brought about the suspension of trains, subways, and streetcars. The power outage further affected an important part of the substations of the transmission systems, from where it was estimated that the electrical failure stemmed. The Czech Interior Ministry has been investigating the extent of the blackout and the incidents it caused. Biennial Sur will celebrate its 10th anniversary this Saturday in Argentina within the framework of its 2025 edition. After inaugurating its first exhibitions in Colombia last week, this cultural event is described as the largest in the world, with organized new exhibitions and a performance at the Contemporary Art Center in Buenos Aires. Also next week, several exhibitions will be inaugurated in other places, such as the Memory Park, the Isaac Fernandez Blanco Hispanic American Art Museum, and the Palacio Pereda cultural space of the Brazilian Embassy. Artists from Italy, Mexico, France, Switzerland, Saudi Arabia, and Uruguay will be present during the celebration. The province of Cartago is preparing to receive the Costa Rica Piano Festival 2025 with a free concert for the whole family. This traditional festival, which promotes national and foreign piano talent, will take place from July 5th to the 12th at the Municipal Museum of Cartago and will feature the performance of various interpreters who will participate in a week dedicated to music and artistic training. The inaugural gala will include outstanding Costa Rican pianists such as Luciana Astorga, Carlos Andres Lara, and Amanda Espinosa, while the closing ceremony will feature world-renowned artists. The director of the festival, Lanzo Luconi, emphasized that the meeting will be an opportunity for young pianists to grow. St. Vincent and the Grenadines continues to celebrate the 2025 Vincent to the rhythm of soca and calypso until next July 9th. The streets of the Caribbean nation vibrate with a festive atmosphere. On Thursday, people took part in one of the most anticipated events, a celebration where the steel band joins the masquerades. Throughout the day, children and teenagers participated in the junior edition of the steel band competition, and at night, the adult version was held. This year's celebrations are expected to attract thousands of visitors, both local and international. Like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. So join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For teleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.